This episode is brought to you by the Varus. The Varus first came to our attention when Dracula was making some homemade dumplings and spring rolls. He'd lit up a pot and prepared to pour them in, but he spilled them on the floor and it took longer than 5 seconds for him to pick them up. When I was preparing to make up these lists, I had it in the back of my mind that 2020 was a very good year for music videos. But I still found myself so surprised at just how good a year it was. I had over 20 entries to whittle down just for this list. 20! And it seems like the wider discourse agrees that 2020 was good for music in general. Every entry on this list is not only a brilliant music video, but it's also a song that I would easily throw onto a playlist with no skips. I don't know if there's any connection between how bad the year was otherwise and how great the music scene was. Maybe I just remember it so fondly because there wasn't a whole lot else going on for me day to day back then. But if that's the case, I got my work cut out for me to try and articulate why these videos belong here. So let's get into it. This is the top 10 best music videos of 2020. One of the upsides I found going back to these lists from 2020 is the benefit of having some distance from that year. The songs that are annoying but widely forgotten don't sting as much. But the songs that come back and hit just as hard as they did when you first hear them, well, they get re-added to my yearly playlists. When I first did an unpacking of Head and Heart all the way back in 2020, which has since been taken down for copyright thanks WMG, I didn't realise how much of an impact that video would grow to have on me. Even back then I thought the presentation was inspired and the song was just really damn good. But seeing it back in 2023, it's the timelessness of its message about the interplay between emotions and perspective that I still find so endearing. The video's director, Elliot Sampson, seems to be the mastermind behind most of Joel Corey's videos, taking rather simple house music and crafting intricate and brilliantly creative stories and experiences. I mean, on the surface, this song isn't really about anything. It mentions some ideas that we can relate to, where your emotions get in the way of your rational thinking, but the video is what actually flushes it out and gives it a bit more depth. It doesn't give you a lot of answers, but offers a simple scenario that provides introspection. Quite simply, it's a video that invites you to think, rather than telling you everything outright. And the acting from the twins does effectively convey all that they need to develop an emotional connection with the audience. They really deserve a lot of credit for making this work as well as it does. The only reason it isn't higher on the list is that there are still some problems, I think. It's a massive oversimplification to say that any decision dictated by the head won't necessarily be for the better, and will instead just lead to misery. If they wanted to do the head and heart concept more effectively, I still would have tried to insinuate that there are benefits and downsides to listening to your feelings as opposed to logic. But I'm very happy with the video for what it is. It may not have the most feeling or the most thought put into it of the videos in 2020, but it's a video that taps into both my head and my heart, and I can appreciate that. But I'm frozen in motion, and my head tells me to stop, but my heart goes. I usually spend a fair amount of these year-end lists ragging on TikTok for flooding the charts with one-hit wonders that we'll never get to look at again, most of whom probably didn't actually deserve the first hit to begin with. I just get so annoyed when I see the impact that it's having on mainstream pop music, promoting the worst type of music development, making songs where there's about 2 enjoyable or meme-worthy lines, and then just filling the rest of the song with cork. But I'm a big boy, and I can be flexible with my opinions when given new information. In this case, I have to give credit where it's due, because TikTok really found something good here. This is Arizona Zervas, which I'm pretty sure is actually his real name. He's a rapper from Rhode Island who got signed to Columbia Records not long after Lil Nas X got signed for Old Town Road. And as I said previously, Roxanne was a charting song due mainly because of its success on TikTok. But contrary to your Heat Waves or your ABCDEFU, I think this song is actually pretty solid all the way through. Maybe that's how it, like Old Town Road, managed to actually peak quite high on the charts. But the reason it made its way onto this list is because this video is pretty damn good. It's basically a recreation of Groundhog Day, where Zervis is living the same day over and over because he always dies at the end of the day, usually due to the actions and involvement of the titular Roxanne. The level of competence in almost every facet of this video's production is staggering, considering that this is the first music video that Arizona Zervis had ever put out. Not just in the set design and costume, but the camera work and editing is creative and engaging. The premise of the time loop is made clear with constant repetition of Zervis waking up performing the same actions, but all slightly shot and edited differently. But I'd also like to attribute a lot of the successes in this video to the efforts of the two leads, Zervis and this female actress I'd love to name check properly if her name was anywhere I could find. For a debut music video, the two of them play off each other quite impressively, and in particular, she's fascinatingly characterized. The song clearly tells us that she likes to party and spend everyone's money that isn't hers.
From Malibu, Malibu. If you ain't got a foreign, then she laugh at you. Malibu, Malibu. Spending daddy's money with an attitude.
But it also gives us a clear look into the relationship she has with Zervis, which clearly isn't healthy and is almost parasitic for both of them.
She think I'm an asshole, she think I'm a player. She keep running back though, only cause I pay her.
Even though the song is about her, I love how the video gives us a clear understanding of who she is by showing the effect that she has on him. He clearly sees her as being bad luck, where a lot of the events, even those outside of her control or influence, occur when she just happens to be around. In the diner robbery, she was making the lunch unpleasant for basically everyone involved. So much so that it's almost a relief when the robbers break in. Even from the outset, we see his infatuation with Roxanne is putting him in danger. When TikTok delivers, it definitely delivers. It's a bit of a shame that his other music videos can't quite compare to this, but Roxanne is still pretty damn impressive. While often overlooked and widely ignored because nobody really pays close attention to music videos as a medium, the list of cliches in music videos is huge. Narratives involving Groundhog Day, car crashes, the end of the world, pin-ups in front of cars, in mansions, at parties, it's all been so overdone, and after watching enough music videos, it just gets exhausting. One of the most overplayed and boring is what I call the firearm fantasy, or playing with Chekhov's gun if you want. You can probably think of a few videos like this, a video where the main artist flashes around a gun in their pinup video for no reason other than they think it makes them look harder. They don't actually fire the gun, it's just a prop, it's a threat, and in that way it's a little bit disappointing. But the best part about all these cliches in music videos is the contrast payoff when someone decides to subvert it and try something different. But how do you contrast the firearm fantasy? You can't have the artist just go around shooting anybody. You need a relatable threat. Zombie apocalypse? That could work.
Brand new Lamborghini, fuck a cop car. With a pistol on my hip like I'm a cop. Have you ever met a real nigga rock star? This ain't no guitar, bitch, this a clock.
It's such a surprise to me that the zombie music video cliche hasn't reached into rap music more. For the genre that most loves to flex gunplay and violence with firearms, I honestly think this type of thing would cross over so naturally. Maybe it isn't as desirable to shoot at a CGI supernatural enemy, when they could just simply imply that they'd shoot at a person in real life. But surely it's the opposite. I'd take 1,000 of these role-playing fantasy videos over the bland shit I see when it's just a bad flex video that doesn't aspire to more. It's not exactly breaking new ground with the action, and the exact nature of the threat is hard to pin down. They aren't mindless like you'd normally see in zombie media, but they also don't seem particularly capable. But I do get the sense that they wanted to put in more effort than just coasting on the premise alone. Scenes like this, that use the environment, the mirrors on the vehicles, not only provide a good visual, but also provide a purpose in the action scene. But I think they know that they aren't going for hyperrealism. The narrative isn't what's meant to sell you, it's the spectacle, it's the fantasy. That's why there's a whole sequence of them performing with a zombie band and backup dancers. Not only is it a fun visual, but it demonstrates the self-awareness that you just don't see in most rap videos.
Keep a Glockin' when I ride in the Suburban. Was a codeine, had a young nigga swerving.
Also, props to Roddy Ricch, who had a hell of a year in 2020. The box was also contender for this list for its wide-reaching, seemingly random visuals that include an Adam West Batman reference of all things. But it just didn't have a clear enough focus, and the subversion of the music video cliches just didn't quite go far enough. But Rockstar is the perfect subversion of the most frustrating of music video cliches. A video that finally takes the guns that are so frequently waved around and actually does something with them. We'd be so lucky to have this video inspire more like it going forward.
Go get the top.
I don't actually have an introduction planned. I just wanted to hear that beat again.
I should've stayed at home, 'cause now there ain't no letting you go. Am I falling in love with the one that could break my heart?
Dua Lipa had a tremendous 2020 with hit after hit after hit. Her album Future Nostalgia hit #1, and while the first two singles from it were impressive in their own right, it was Break My Heart that finds its way onto this list proper. The success of the video can pretty much be summarized in one word: transitions. The fact that each scene manages to nearly seamlessly flow into each other, and then towards the end of the video, we go back through the same transitions in reverse order. It creates this visual flow that demonstrates so much more thought being put into it than a standard pinup video that just tries to get from A to B to C. And as I've come to expect from Dua Lipa at this point, each set piece is so uniquely distinct. Not just from the other set pieces in the video, but the set pieces from her other music videos as well. In particular, my favourite set piece takes place after the plane.
It's you and my reflection. I'm afraid of all the things it could do to me. If I would've known it, baby, I would've stayed at home, 'cause I was doing better alone. But when you said hello, I knew that was the end of it all.
The transition from the exploding life raft to being under the yellow covers of a string of rebounds, subtly suggesting that the rebounds are an act of desperate self-preservation. It's a set of scenes that doesn't last longer than 15 seconds, but it's that thoughtfulness that I find so endearing in videos like this. The director said that he wanted the video to feel like a tumble dryer of emotions, and the editing and tempo really bring that to life. Thanks to the way that the set pieces are tied together, it doesn't feel like a mess of unrelated scenes. It feels like a thread that's slowly unknotting itself. But I also really like that this video seems to be a bit of a point of difference.
Goddamn, you got me in love again.
In most Dua Lipa videos, she exudes this confidence and the sense of royalty that's nearly unparalleled. But this is the first video I can recall of hers in which she seems particularly vulnerable. Even the video for New Rules, which was specifically about trying to recover from a problematic relationship with the help of friends, still didn't effectively depict Dua Lipa as vulnerable as the song would suggest. But this is the first video I can recall in her catalogue where she's not perfectly in control of the situation. And there's this general feeling of uncertainty, which is such a nice contrast to the norm. My only real problem with the video is that apparently this is meant to be the depiction of Lipa going from vulnerability to empowerment. And I'm not really sure where the catalyst for change is. If it's just meant to be time passing in general and going on living your best life, it doesn't quite fit the general flow to go back and reverse through all of the events of the video at the end. If it's just going out and hanging out with your friends, I still think there needs to be a specific clear moment of change that demonstrates to us, the audience, that she now feels empowered. But she pretty much has the same look on her face the entire way through. But I don't think this is meant to be a narrative video. The narrative is an excuse for the spectacle, which is so very impressive. I didn't even really catch all the transitions on the first watch through. It took me a while to see the full extent of what the director, Henry Schofield, had actually set up. It's thoughtfully crafted, deliberate, and a treat for the eyes. Dua Lipa's done it again.
Am I falling in love with the one that could break my heart?
In 2020, it wasn't just the music was good, it's that it was also powerful. Music videos, in their role as concerts that are accessible to anyone, made all the difference in the world during the 2020 lockdowns. It meant the videos were likely to be seen more while so many people were stuck at home with nothing to do. And if there was a time to drop a provocative video that would get people talking, it would be at the time when so many people didn't have much of a choice but to sit up and watch. And I can't think of a single video that generated more heated debate in 2020 than this one.
I said certified free, 7 days a week, wet ass pussy, make that pull out game weak.
You know the main difference between WAP and other videos from male artists that do the same thing? When a male artist is verbally articulating why it is that they are a bigger and better man than others, including you, their fans, they do so wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and standing against a shitty backdrop while the featured artist is just awkwardly standing around in the background waiting to say their piece. When Cardi B is bragging about her WAP, there is literally water flooding underneath the doors of the house and out onto the street. Not only is it funny for how cartoonish it is, it's also, more importantly, visually unique and interesting. Most male artists don't have the balls, ironically, to make themselves look a little bit silly in their music videos. It always has to be cool. Now, am I saying that male artists should just have a video where they have literal dicks all over the set? No, of course not. That'd be nonsense. That's too lazy. I'd want it to be weirder and more creative than that. Give me a video where Post Malone is done up as that guy from The Boys fighting crime with his opposable appendage. But that's why this video was so impactful. It wasn't just how unapologetically filthy and explicit the song was, but the video doubled down and threw it all in your face. It reinvents the Playboy Mansion and gives it this surreal twist, where the hallways are twisted and seemingly endless. But also, every room has its own unique theming, including leopard print, a pool, and a Willy Wonka-styled room with the color palette of Cesar Romano's Joker. But not only that, Megan and Cardi both are depicted in creatively distinct ways to leave their own impact, and neither one overshadows the other, which is such a brilliant balance. The video manages to depict Cardi B and Megan as both powerful, domineering, and confident, while also still maintaining the fun and bounciness that complements the huge number of punchlines in the song.
He got a beard when I'm trying to wet it. I let him taste it, now he diabetic.
Food chain, I'm the one that eat you. If he ate my ass, he's a bottom feeder.
Yeah, I run on that thing, the cuz behind me. I spit on his mic and he tryna sign me.
Put him on his knees, give him something to believe in. Never lost a fight, but I'm looking for a beat.
I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage.
The song is spectacular in its own right. Provocative, quotable, funny. It's really easy to see how it left such a huge impact as it did. Beautifully realized, and I wouldn't expect anything less from these two.
Ass pussy, macaroni in a pot. That's some wet ass pussy, huh?